Shake a sugar shaker, what a thrill. Jeepers, I'm a sugar pill. Shake a sugar shaker, you can too. Sugar pills will work for you. Shake a sugar shaker, what a thrill. Jeepers, I'm a sugar pill. Shake a sugar shaker, you can too. Sugar pills will work for you. Hello everyone, I'm Barbara Baxter. Welcome to the Sugar Pills Show, a show about non-medical ways to feel your best, whether you're ill, well, or somewhere in between. Today on the Sugar Pills Show, we have Mary Catherine Alley. Do you know Mary Catherine Alley? Well, you should. I do, and I'm lucky for knowing her. She is the Regional Marketing Specialist of Jewish Mercy Health Mobile Mammography Program. She's a Cincinnati native who attended Aiken High School and then furthered her education at the State University of New York, which has its first woman chancellor, Dr. Nancy L. Zimpher, who was also the first woman president of the University of Cincinnati. Mary Catherine has done modeling, she's done theater, and she has been the fashion representative of Makeup for Fashion Fair Cosmetics, a wonderful line of cosmetics for women of color. She did this at Abraham and Straus, a very upscale store in New York City. And some of you may remember that the Straus perished on the Titanic. The music and singing that Mary Catherine has done is outstanding. She is with an R&B band, the P. Ann Price All-Star Band, and she's a breast cancer survivor who is a former Playboy bunny who had a double mastectomy, and she has a personal mission of breast cancer awareness. Please welcome Mary Catherine Alley. Hello, Mary Catherine.
Hello,
it's
Barbara.
Wonderful to see you.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here and be your guest.
Well, thank you, thank you. I'm thrilled that you're here. I really am. And I wanted to go back to the part about how you went to Aiken High School because you were on the Human Relations Council, and I believe you were one of the people who started that up, and it was about improving student life. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
That was way back, it seems like eons ago, in 1970. That's when I graduated from Aiken.
That's fine. I brought that up because I want people to know that you have been improving people's lives all of your life. And I wanted to ask you, have you been inspired by anyone in your family to help improve people's lives? Perhaps your mother or another relative?
My mother was my role model without a doubt. She was always giving and then giving some more. I remember that she went through the Great Depression, and she told me when it was really tight sometimes, they might be down to one piece of bread, but she was always willing to share that one piece and give a half to someone else. So I was raised in that environment, and it's been my personal mission throughout life to help other people thrive and grow and just appreciate the beauty of life.
Well, I think that's so commendable, and it's wonderful that you had this very influential person as your mother. I mean,
Yes.
really.
A gift.
Yes, a gift, a true gift. And one of the things that I think was very brave of you was that you went to New York City, and I think you went like by yourself. Did you know anybody there?
Well, my senior class trip was to New York City, and I was so mesmerized by the bright lights in the city, and I just said at that time, I'm going to come back here and live, and I'm going to become a star. I was very young and naive at the time, and I thought I would just show up, sing, dance, and get discovered. 5 years later, I learned there's a lot more to it than that, but it was a wonderful experience, and I grew about 10 years in that 5 years in New York.
Well, I think you're a star.
Thank you.
And I think you've been a star since you were born, which I happen to know. She was born on Christmas Day. I mean, you can't beat that, can you? And you were born a little early, but your mother said, nope, she's going to be coming any time now. So here again, your mother knew best.
My mother knew best. Even though my brothers were 21 and 22 when I was born, I was a big surprise, same mother and father. And the doctor finally diagnosed her on, actually I shouldn't say diagnosed, that's not quite the correct word, but examined her on Christmas Eve and said, you're going to be here and have a new baby on New Year's Day. And she said, nope, I'm going to have her Christmas Day because one of her lifelong wishes was to have a live baby doll on Christmas Day.
And how did that come about? I know there's a bit of a story that goes with having the live baby doll.
Yes, there is. My mother was born in 1908. My father was born in 1897. So back then, Mom was one of 8 children, and they were very poor. Her father had died when he was 32 years old. The only time they received a gift was at Christmas time. Every year the same gift, a rag doll. And every year, Mom would bury her rag doll in the backyard. They would dig it up and bring it back in and say, you know, why are you doing this? And she said, I want a live baby doll for Christmas. And she got tired of them retrieving the dolls. So one year she actually got a clothes prop. They had outhouses. And she stuffed the doll down the outhouse. And that was the last gift that she received as a child. And she said she had forgotten all about that wish until the night of Christmas Eve in 1951 when the doctor examined her and said that I would be born on New Year's Day. And Mom said, nope, I'm finally going to get my live baby doll on Christmas Day. I was born on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1951. So it just goes to show how powerful our thoughts and intentions are, and to be careful what you wish for. It just may come true.
Well,
when you least expect it.
When you least expect it. I like that story. I really do. You know, it's sort of like a circle of life.
Yes.
And it's inspirational, too, because of your mother's belief system.
Yes. And again, back then, you know, now a lot of women have babies in their 40s, but Mom was 43 and my father was 55. In 1951, that was unheard of. So it was quite a rare event.
Well, you were definitely meant to be here. And when you were in New York, you did some theater, you did modeling.
Yes, I did.
And you sold cosmetics. Now, how did you get chosen? I mean, you're a beautiful woman. I can understand that they would say, yes, we want Mary Catherine, but how did that happen that you were chosen?
When I began working for Abraham and Straus department store, I was a member of their elite flying squad, which meant that at any given moment, I would work any department in the store if there was an absence or if they got an overflow of customers. And from there, I evolved when Fashion Fair Cosmetics was introduced in New York. And they said, would you like to be our cosmetic? They called us line girls. Would you like to be the line girl for Fashion Fair? And I said, I would love to. It was right up my alley. I'd always been playing dress-ups and doing makeup and hair and fashion shows. So that's how I landed that position, and it was fabulous.
That's exciting. So I'm thinking that they must have trained you for...
Yes, they did.
Okay.
The Fashion Fair people came in, and they trained me in the product and how to apply the makeup and to do the before and afters, the makeovers. And again, it was just another way to lift women's spirits.
And I believe that this makeup company, which became international, was started by a very ambitious woman of color.
Yes,
who really was a front runner in her day.
Ebony magazine.
Okay.
It was an evolution from Ebony magazine and Jet magazine, yes.
So was she with the magazine?
Yes, she was. Her husband was the founder.
Okay, her husband was the founder.
Yes.
And so she decided, you know, there's a whole
There's a
group.
void. There's a void.
Mm-hmm.
And so she decided, I'm going to create this line. And it's still just thriving today.
Good. That's great.
It's in all the major department stores.
And now I think, too, we have, if you go to department stores or if you're going to your drugstore, there are makeups in all ranges of skin colors.
Yes, she was the trendsetter. Now all the major makeup lines have colors for women of color.
Yes, good. This is good to know. And while Mary Catherine was in New York, as she said, she was there for 5 years, and she had 10 years of maturity, really.
Yes.
Then where did you go, and how did you become a bunny?
After 5 years, I realized that stardom was somewhat fleeting, and I got enough of a taste of it, but I still missed home. And the cost of living was astronomical. So I was using all of my funds basically just for the necessities of living. And I decided, I think I'll go back to Cincinnati and maybe I'll move somewhere from there. So I came back to Cincinnati in 1976, And I still had that New York mentality. I was flying as I was walking down the streets, and I was looking for the bright lights and something exciting. And I thought, I've got to find something out of mainstream Cincinnati. And a friend of mine said, I have a cousin that works for the Playboy Club. And I thought, I'm not doing that. And she said, basically, it's a very glamorized.
You thought it was like a
I didn't know what it was.
Yes,
exactly.
Okay.
And she said, it's a very highly stylized cocktail waitress, and they make 17.5% gratuity automatically on every check they open. And I thought, okay, this piqued my interest.
Yeah.
So one day out of the blue, I just walked into the Playboy Club and had an interview on the spot and got hired. I found out after the fact that women would go through 2 and 3, as we call them, cattle calls, where they just parade through women, and it would take them several attempts. So again, another gift I was blessed. I just walked in and got hired.
They said, woo, we want Mary Catherine.
They put me in the costume, I put on my ears, I swirled around, and the next thing I knew I was hired and I was a Playboy bunny.
Now, I do want to ask you a question about the costume. I remember reading that those costumes had like wires in them. And
whalebone stays.
Whoa, kind of like an old-fashioned corset.
Exactly. They were designed to make and feature the best of any woman's assets. They were custom made, and so there was a rule. We had a weigh-in every week, and you were not allowed to go 3 pounds over or under your higher weight because your costume wouldn't fit properly. And they were very expensive to make.
Wow.
It was very stringent.
So could you get in this yourself, or did somebody have to like lace you up or zip you up?
You could get in them yourself because it was one piece like a swimming suit, but it was like a shell. And you could get into yourself, and usually one of the other bunnies would zip us up in the bunny room. That was our
bunny
locker
room.
The bunny room, yes.
Okay, you had a bunny mother, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
But I'm going to back up just a little bit, because you said to me in the recent past that you were a bunny when you were 3.
My very first picture of myself in a bunny costume was for Halloween. I was 3 years old. I'm standing there just grinning from ear to ear with a carrot in my mouth. So that was my first experience as a bunny. Then fast forward when I was in New York and worked for Abraham and Strauss. Well, I was a member of that elite flying squad. They had breakfast with the Easter Bunny up in the cafeteria.
Now, wait a minute. You're not going to tell us.
Yes. I was elected. I had one of those huge oversized costumes, furry with the ears, the whole get-up. I was the Easter Bunny. The head was so huge that I had to be led by the hand because the eye holes were about here and I couldn't see. All I saw in front of me was dark. And they led me, and I sat down, and I had all the little children sit on my lap and tell me all about what they wanted and gave them little goodies. So that was my second event as being a bunny. So it just kind of was an evolution.
The bunny evolution.
The bunny evolution, yes.
So you became a Playboy bunny with the with the outfit with the whalebone
stays and our little puffy white cotton tail.
Puffy tails, and there was a bunny room.
Yes.
And it was meant to show off what women
pulled you in and lifted you up, just like an old-fashioned corset. It gave us those hourglass figures, so that it was very attractive. You couldn't really bend in them, which is one of the reasons we did the bunny dip. When you served, you never bent forward. You bent over backwards. You would squat and serve backwards. It was a very elegant style of serving your guests.
So I think you were also probably wearing extremely high heels and this very tight outfit and bending backwards and smiling. No wonder you got 17.5%. I mean, you'd earned it.
We worked, and we also got cash tips on top of that. And we did serve food in addition to, it was a very exclusive club. At the time, you had to be a member to come in. And when we had serving our food, you had to high carry your tray. And those trays loaded with food and drinks would weigh upwards of 50 pounds. So you're being graceful in these high heel shoes, high carrying these trays, and very elegantly dipping backwards and serving your customers.
I am so impressed. I have to shake your hand. How did you do all that? Why, you're Wonder Woman.
A lot of practice. We went through 6 weeks of training before you were even allowed out on the floor.
I don't wonder, really. I mean,
Did you know that? I didn't know that. Wow.
And
Mary
this was
Catherine.
before the age of computers. So when you served your cocktails, you couldn't even just put them in any order. There was a series we had to memorize: every alcohol, every glass, every garnish, what type of ice, so that your tray was set up that you could just spin it because the bar was set up to coincide.
You had
It
to
was
spin the tray.
yes, it was
Well,
systematic.
Well, why not? I mean, if you're doing all the other things, you may as well spin your tray.
We had attorneys, we had doctors, we had teachers. Again, it was a very high-class organization, and you couldn't be a dummy and be a bunny.
I would think not. Now, I'm bringing up again the part that, you know, the women's figures were squeezed in and lifted up.
But yet they were comfortable because they were custom made.
And here you are now, you discover that you have breast cancer.
Yes.
And you have a double mastectomy.
A brand new set of girls.
And a new set of girls. You had implants.
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us now what was going through your mind, and for all of you out there who know anyone who's had a mastectomy or who has breast cancer, or if you yourself are dealing with breast cancer, Mary Catherine, in your words, how did you find out, and go from there.
I've always been faithful about taking care of my health. So every November, I would see my gynecologist, and every December, I would visit the Jewish Hospital Mobile Mammography Unit. It came to my place where I was employed every year. And then in November of 2010, I was on my same schedule. I went to see my gynecologist in November, and they also do a clinical breast exam at that time. And then there's a consultation afterwards, and I walked into the doctor's office, sat down, and he said, "Are you still getting those annual mammograms?" And I said, "Of course I am." And he said, "When's your next one?" And I said, "About 3 weeks." And he said, "I'd like you to go next week." I said, "Okay, why?" He said, "I found a very small, tiny, tiny pea-sized lump."
Okay, so this is like the size of a little pea.
Very tiny.
Okay.
I was doing self-exams, and I didn't feel anything.
Okay.
And he said, "It's probably just a cyst, nothing to worry about," and I didn't worry about it. So I said, "I'll never get in a week's time. It takes forever." And he said, "No, I'm going to schedule the appointment. You will go next week." I came to the Jewish hospital. I was sitting in the waiting room, and I noticed the fear and apprehension in the room. These people waiting to get these tests done because they had a call back. And the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I made the decision at that point in time, if I have breast cancer, I'm going to be an advocate, and I'm going to help women walk this journey in faith and not fear. Because whatever the diagnosis was going to be, I said God brought me to it, He'd bring me through it. I wasn't worried. So they did the mammogram. It was inconclusive. They did an ultrasound. It said, "We need to take a look at this." I had a biopsy a few days later, and this was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And when I had my biopsy, I had the surgeon and the radiologist and everybody. There were about 6 people in entourage in the room. I had everybody laughing and joking. And they said, "Wow, you'd be a great inspiration for other women." I said, "That's what I want to do. I want to volunteer. If this is something, I want to volunteer and help women walk this journey again in faith and not fear."
So you found out that it was in fact breast cancer.
Well, that was that Tuesday. And she said, "I will have your results back the day after Thanksgiving. Should I call you on Friday, or would you like to get through the weekend?" And I said, "Nope, I want to know when you know." However, on Thanksgiving Day, I was spending it with my daughter and family, and I felt this overwhelming sense of peace and calm. It was something I'd never experienced before, and I felt my spirit saying, "You have breast cancer, but don't worry, look for the gift. Something wonderful is going to be on the other side." So the surgeon called me Friday morning. She said, "Mary Catherine, I have your results back." And I said, "I know, Dr. Weaver, I have breast cancer." And there was silence. And she said, "Yes, you do." I said, "Okay, what do we do now?"
And what was the next step, so that people at home who may have been recently diagnosed, what happens then? And what happened to you then?
The next step was to find a breast surgeon. I met with Dr. Donna Stahl the following week, and it was wonderful. She said, "What you have is called invasive lobular carcinoma."
Okay, tell us this again.
Invasive lobular carcinoma, which is cancer in the lobes of your breast, the glands that actually produce the milk, as opposed to the ducts where the milk flows through.
I understand.
And that only 15% of women get invasive lobular carcinoma. It was very aggressive, stage 1, very tiny. She actually drew diagrams for me so I would understand what was going on. And she said, you have options. We can do a lumpectomy on that left breast, we can remove the left breast, or we can do a bilateral mastectomy, remove both breasts. And she said, the reason we have options, it's the type of cancer that has a tendency to mirror itself. So she told me that in about 6
Mirroring
months
itself, meaning if it's on the left, it's on the right.
it could come back. She said in
okay.
6 months to a year, maybe 2 years, it could show up in the healthy breast. And at that moment I said, well, that's a no-brainer. Take them both, I'll get a replacement set.
I think I've changed the tires.
Exactly.
I'm
It's
sorry to
just-
make light of it.
No, but I made light of it. It was just a body
yeah.
part. If
Yeah.
it's going to save my life, and I didn't want to go through this twice, there was no hesitation.
And I believe that there was a party thrown for you where you worked.
There was, yes.
Because I love this because it's very uplifting. It's just all about the attitude. And so, what was the name of this party that was given for you by your fellow employees?
Well, it was actually tatas. We were saying tata to the tatas.
Ta-ta to the tatas. You know, what an attitude, really. What a wonderful attitude to embrace. If you're going through this, if you know someone who's going through this, yes, it can be devastating. It can really affect people emotionally. We need to hear about these things from you, Mary Catherine, and we really, really appreciate it. So you had your surgery.
Yes.
And you recovered from that. What kind of a time frame before you were having implants?
I had the surgery in January of 2011, and then I actually had first what they call tissue expanders. And this is actually, the skin has to be stretched in order to accommodate the new forms, the new implants. So I met with my plastic surgeon, and they actually put a little port in, and they inject saline solution to stretch the skin. So about every 2 or 3 weeks, I would go and get an injection to stretch the skin. I call that my temporary set.
So a port, for those of you who might not know, is a device that's implanted in the body, and fluids can be put in through a port. So you had a
Correct.
port, and
Yes.
you would go in and they kept
stretching.
I mean, I'm getting an image here.
They
that
kept slowly, gradually, and it wasn't painful
it wasn't painful, all right?
at all. They would
Okay.
just gradually expand the skin.
Okay.
Then in July of 2011, they removed the tissue expanders, is the correct name, my starter kit. They removed the
I just love you, your starter kit. Okay.
So they removed the tissue expanders in July of 2011, and that's when I had my permanent set of implants put in.
Did you get to pick out your size? I mean, I know that's a personal question, but
Yes, I did. Actually, it's quite funny. My daughter took me to the doctor's office, and there was a plexiglass bin of different breast forms, and I was looking at them, and I said, I think I like this. And my daughter said, Mom, that's way too big for you. And I said, honey, I can pick any size I'd like. Mom, that's too big, that's too big. And I said, well, we will discuss this with the doctor, but how many women have the opportunity to sit with their daughter and discuss breast size implants?
and how important to be doing this with your daughter.
Exactly, for the awareness factor, because being my daughter, she has a higher tendency to develop breast cancer, so she'll begin her screening mammographies when she's 35 years old versus
So
40.
You and your daughter were basically
Debating
playing
the size.
pick-a-boob.
Pick-a-boob,
Pick-a-boob.
exactly.
And then you chose what you wanted, and you were advised by the doctor, and
Yes.
your daughter was with you through this, and now she knows that when she is 35, she needs to begin the screening. So this
Exactly.
is important to know. If you have a relative in your family, aunt, uncle, grandmother, grandmother.
Yes,
now,
on your
because
maternal
men
side.
do get breast cancer, which is why I said uncle also. And this is the time to really pay attention and have your own daughters or nieces do their screenings. I'm interested as to how you went from having this procedure, you had your implants, and now you are in charge of the mammography, mobile mammography unit.
Yes.
And how did that, or I'll tell you what, tell us what mobile mammography units can do no matter where you live.
Mobile mammography units travel around. They have the identical equipment that's used in the hospitals. The mammography technologists are the same as the hospitals. The only difference is on a mobile unit. The units are very private. You get on board. There are 2 dressing rooms. You walk into the dressing room, change into your gown, and you go directly from the dressing room into the exam room. So it's very discreet, it's very private. No one sees you in your gown except the mammography technologist. And the whole procedure takes 10 to 15 minutes.
And these units go where people work, they come to your neighborhood, so if you're
Exactly.
unable to go somewhere, we
come to you.
I love this. Isn't that wonderful? These units come to you all over this wonderful country of ours. They come to you. I'm so excited that you've been here with us, and I want to present you with the Sugar Pills book, Mary Catherine.
Well, thank
There
you.
you go. And
oh,
I
how
believe
lovely.
you would like to sing a song for us. This is a song by Karen Drucker from her Song of Spirit album.
Correct, it is. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am blessed.
Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been my pleasure to have everyone here, and I'm very, very excited about learning about the breast cancer, the mammography program, where you can have this come to you, the mobile mammography unit, or you can go have an exam, you can do a self-breast exam. We must be our own advocates, and I really and truly appreciate everyone being here today on the Sugar Pills Show with us, with Mary Catherine Alley. Thank you, and I love you all.
Shake your sugar shaker.